Welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video. We're trying out Moon Lander again on the Vectrex for a very specific reason. Now, for those of you who haven't seen my previous videos about this is essentially Lunar Lander, but made for the Vectrex, and made very, very well. If I just fire up a game here, that's my ship, I can rotate, and I want to land on the little platforms. It's very good. It's a very good homebrew. Let's just see. Now you get these nice little indicators of when it's safe to land on your speed and stuff. Okay, and there we go. Yay. And then off you go, you blast off, you do the next one. Pretty straightforward. Anybody who's played Lunar Lander knows this. Now I find the second planet is a lot harder. Like, it really ramps up the difficulty, because now, can you see that flag at the top? That's wind. And if I'm not careful, there we go. Yeah, now you've got a crosswind you have to deal with, and that makes it a lot more challenging. And by the time we get to the third planet, you just might as well forget it. It's a lot faster of a gravity well, and I believe the wind is a lot harder. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Hang on. Now let's just get on. Let's see if I can do it one more time. However, as good as this game is, we're not actually talking about Lunar Lander itself. Sorry, Moon Lander itself, because I've already done several videos about this. Primarily about how I am currently, see if I can land, can I land? Yes, how I'm controlling, because I'm actually using this steering wheel controller. I find it super handy to go left and right and to use these buttons for thrust. Well, that pauses it. Okay, so I just thought to myself, okay, well, yeah, like, this is working. If I can get myself to land carefully here. I've got a control scheme that I really quite like compared to the analog joystick that comes built in with the Vectrex. I'm dead. Okay, well, I'm dead. I do find that using this overdrive controller, this was made a few years ago, this is a really good way to go, because you've got the side-to-side and the thrust button very easily sitting with each other. And I have been enjoying it ever since. Now, somebody is making a Lunar Lander style controller for the Vectrex. His name is Sean Ferigan, and he's been doing this for a while, and everybody who's received one of these really amazing looking controllers has sung its praises. And I saw a posting, somebody was just like, oh my god, I love Sean's work, this controller is fantastic, big thumbs up. And they were playing Lunar Lander, not Moon Lander, but the original arcade Lunar Lander on their Vectrex, which is possible with a thing called the Vec Fever cartridge, which allows you to play arcade MAME machine games on your Vectrex. Unfortunately, the Vec Fever goes for top dollar because it was a limited run, and I don't think they're making any more, and it's very, very expensive. Collectors who want it are paying top dollar for the darn thing. So when I saw this picture, somebody was posting of, here I am using Sean's Lunar Lander controller with my Vectrex, and I love it. I just thought, yeah, sure, but how much is that controller? And you've got a Vec Fever in there. That's thousands of dollars. Forget it. So I posted a question on Atari. I just said, hey, if I wanted to get this setup, which is awesome looking, how much money are we talking here? Because the controller, I'm sure, is a few $100, and that Vec Fever cartridge is ridiculous. But somebody said, well, Moon Lander does actually support analog, you know. I was like, wait a minute, what? I can actually play Moon Lander with an analog controller? I had no idea. All this time I've been using the buttons on this overdrive steering wheel, and I didn't know I could do that. So what we're doing here is a couple of things I want to try out. Again, going back to this overdrive steering wheel controller, the wheel is analog. Now, it's for side-to-side motion for, like, driving games, but I wonder if I haven't tried this yet, this is my first time doing this, if I try to turn the wheel, will that actually be recognized in Moon Lander as an up and down in addition to a side-to-side? Is there a chance this will be recognized as an analog movement, in which case I've got another use for this controller? But I haven't done this before, so let's try this out. I'm just going to try a game, and I'm now going to push, instead of this button for thrust, I'm going to use the steering wheel to apply my thrust. Wish me luck here. Okay, here we go. It's not looking good. Yeah, I can totally turn, but as you can see, doing that is not getting recognized as any kind of up and down thrust. Darn it! Because that would have been cool to just sit here and do that for the thrusting motion instead of having to get one of those controllers. Now, I got in touch with Sean just to say how much of these things, they're up there now. It looks like a premium controller. It looks really, really awesome. But it's a little too rich for my blood. However, I'm wondering if maybe I can jury rig something together myself. So I'm going to try again. I've re-plugged in the original Vectrex controller here, and instead of using these two buttons to turn, what I'm going to try is actually, what happens if I push up on this? Because in theory, if Moon Lander does have analog built in, I don't need to be doing this button for just a digital on and off thrust button. I should be able to push this. So you won't be able to see my hands, but I'm going to try side to side and then this thing for my thrust to see what we get. Here we go. Let's start. Whoa, it does. It totally works. Here was me thinking it was digital only, and it's not. I can apply a little bit of thrust, or I can apply a whole bunch of thrust. Look at that. And that's just me pushing upward in varying degrees with the controller. So that's news to me. So if anybody who's got a Vectrex has been playing Moon Lander thinking you have to only use the buttons, you can push up on the controller itself, just like the original Lunar Lander type controller, the type that Sean makes. There we go. So yeah, that is again just me nudging this thing in an upward position is making it work. So let's do another. Whoa. Okay, now we're on the complicated world. Ah, crash. Let's try it again. Again, you've got that flag up there indicating a lot of thrust. So, but this is amazing. I did not know that Moon Lander had Lunar Lander style analog control. Come on. Yeah, let's get over there. Because, yeah, what you want to do is really be very careful with this lander. There we go. And honestly, just giving it a slight nudge is working perfectly. So I'm super happy. I've made a discovery here. Thank you to the poster on Atari Age. I did not realize that I would actually be able to play this just thumbing carefully. Oh, okay, I died. Thumbing the controller very carefully to make sure I've got the amount of thrust that I want. I thought for sure. There we go. Well, that has saved me having to buy that controller from Sean. Now, I will give a little bit of a recommendation for Sean's controller anyway. If anybody's a huge Lunar Lander and I guess Moon Lander type fan, in his reply to me, Sean Ferigan was saying that he also sells... look at him. He also sells a USB adapter. So if you don't want to be limited to only the Vectrex and only Moon Lander here, plus Lunar Lander if you've got a Vec Fever card, you can also use this USB connector of his to plug into a PC running MAME, and you can use his controller on MAME, on actual Lunar Lander. I wonder if it would also work with that USB connector if you plugged it into your PlayStation and tried to play the Atari collection. There's Lunar Lander in there. Would that work with that controller? Possibly. If you have the Atari Game Station Pro from My Arcade, there's Lunar Lander on there, and it has a USB interface. Would it work in there? I don't know. I don't have the spare cash to get Sean's controller, so I can't really test it for myself. One thing I was thinking of trying for this video, but I actually don't really need to, is I just thought, well, since the Vectrex controller is, you know, there's always that risk of going side to side, I had considered maybe throwing the odd rubber bands on here. You know, I was gonna like wrap around to isolate that this thing can only go up and down, but to be perfectly honest, I don't need to, because seriously, just tapping these and just having my thumb like, oh, okay, let's see if I can do it here. See if I can do it on screen. Yeah, so you see that, like, it's actually very doable, and you can, as I mentioned before, you can very lightly tap and have a very slow cruise like this, or if you want to really push high on the controller, you get a lot of thrust, that kind of thing. Am I going to bounce off the ceiling? I did. So yeah, you actually you can just nudge it with your thumb and fly Moon Lander just like Lunar Lander. And I'm really glad that I found that posting on Atari Age, or I'm glad I asked my question. Do I have to get a Vec Fever to make this work? By the way, no you don't. The guy who replied to me, let's see if I can just land. Ooh. I'm dead. The guy who replied to me, he said, no, you don't need a Vec Fever. They are very expensive. If you got a pi-trex, which is a slightly less expensive version, Alan Stewart, MAME, he's got a pi-trex. It has a little more MAME type capability for your Vectrex, so you can at least play some arcade games, like Lunar Lander, on the pi-trex. I might get a pi-trex someday, in which case I might be trying this thing out, this routine, with Lunar Lander. But honestly, right now, I can get my Lunar Lander / Moon Lander fix here just by nudging this control a little bit with my thumb. Don't get me wrong, I would really, really like to have Sean Ferigan's controller, but with the way things are financially these days, everybody's a little uncertain about stuff, and just throwing down some cash for that is just not really in my wheelhouse, unfortunately. But what I'll do is, now Sean is accepting orders for his controller, so please, if you like the look of it, I think you really would be wise to do so. It looks really high quality, and people who have got it really love it. And again, with that USB connector, which I think he sells for about £20, he's out of the UK. That would really add a lot of capability to that controller, so I think you should go for it. Yeah, Sean usually accepts orders through Facebook. If you're somebody who's not a Facebook fan and you're not into it, the fellow on Atari Age did put Sean's email address into the posting, and that's how I got in touch with Sean, just to get a quote for shipping to Canada. So I'm going to assume it's okay to put Sean's email address in this video. I'm going to put it down in the description. I won't blast it everywhere, but yeah, send the guy some interest. If you want to get one of his controllers, looks fantastic, get that USB adapter, fantastic stuff, and then you'll be able to play Moon Lander and varying versions of Lunar Lander using the original controller style. I think that thing is awesome. For myself personally, I'm going to stick with the original Vectrex controller, because that works for me, to be honest. I think this is going to be great. I'm going to deep dive into Moon Lander now that I might be able to get past that third planet with this other control scheme. Gonna give it a whirl. Alright, I'm gonna stop there, so until next time, I'll see you down the rabbit hole.